A very good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world, and joining us for this LinkedIn Live, which Guy and I have been running for 144 episodes at this point. So we're getting close to the 145 and 150, where we talk about LinkedIn, anything about LinkedIn. And today our focus will be around the use of LinkedIn by executives. So, Guy, good morning.
A very good morning, Mick. It's amazing how many episodes we already did.
Yes, and every time I make a new event, the number goes up by one, and it's like, oh, wow, we're slowly getting down to the next milestone, which is not one that you or I possibly imagined. Uh, and it's kind of fun when you don't need to keep track of, did I get there yet? I mean, they just keep following each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
been, and it's been fun so far. So let's continue, I would say.
Yeah, and looking forward to today's episode, Mick.
Yeah, me too. And before we get started, Guy, two things. Good morning, Linaire. If you want to join and have some thoughts, use the comments and we'll pick them up as we go along. And obviously, we'll try and answer all your questions that you have for today. Did you see anything new on LinkedIn worthwhile speaking about before we kick off our main topic?
I think there were a few new things, but I've been too busy with other projects the past couple of weeks.
Mhm.
It's my holiday the next week, so I haven't seen anything special, Mick. So please inform me and keep me posted.
Well, I think that the biggest thing that came across my home feed, at least, was the announcement that LinkedIn made about their war against AI slop or AI comments and all of that stuff, which is a bit of the controversy. Is like, all right, you're going to stop everything that's created by AI, and then you're going to offer it in premium subscriptions. It's kind of like contradictory in a sense. But actually, I had fun because I saw so many posts that I took a few of them and actually tried to figure out, were they humanly written or were they AI written? And to my big surprise, a lot of these posts about AI slop and comments were written with AI,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a funny thing. And I did point it out to a few people, like, okay, maybe you need to do something about your writing style. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the for me, that's been the interesting bit this week. The lots of comments about LinkedIn is fighting this, and I think, in all honesty, we'll have to see if that is really true and how LinkedIn is actually going to implement that. Because,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
And the thing
but
that crossed my, well, I commented on your post about the new analytics, um,
mhm,
yeah, the replacements of the rolling 7-day window show
yep,
your post count and
right,
comment count, and it's now called weekly progress.
yep, indeed,
Um, and some people liked the change.
mhm,
Most, I think, didn't. They liked the challenge of LinkedIn telling you, well, you still have to do some homework or you still have to do some activities because you
yep,
only posted once instead of three.
yep.
Um, I'm not sure if that's a positive thing. I've never been a fan of people telling me what to do, so that's why I
Okay.
became an entrepreneur, probably. Um,
I
so it's a bit contradictory for me.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like a bit of a saving because I keep track of all the numbers, so I don't have to worry on Sunday night that I will lose the number of posts and comments I did in the week. If I look on Monday morning before I do anything, it's still that number from the Sunday night, basically.
Yeah,
So
and
it
also,
has some advantages, but I do believe having that milestone, 3 actions per week. I thought that was an interesting, although mostly low activity, but at least it could inspire people to do 3 things a week on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but the interest, I think, is limited to probably the people like you and me, heavy LinkedIn users, LinkedIn trainers. But the average professional, sales professional, finance professional, whatever job they're doing, I don't believe they really focus on these numbers. They focus on how many leads do I get, how many sales did I make, how many new touch of contacts were made in the past period.
True. I agree. I'm just it's from a numbers point of view, collecting these numbers, it makes my life a little easier. On the other hand, I kind of liked the limit, because at least you could inspire, or LinkedIn inspired people to do 3 things a week. But that's, we all know that LinkedIn changes one day, and maybe they go back at some point and do something else.
Yeah.
So let's get started on our executives for today.
Yeah, indeed. Talking about today's topic, executive being active on LinkedIn. And if you put that a bit broader and talk about management or people in management positions. About 2 weeks ago, I had a discussion with one of the companies I work with. And I asked all the departments, all heads of departments, and I'm talking here about a machine builder. So we're talking about sales, we're talking about R&D, we talk about engineering, to write one post about their specialty, their department, and until now, 0 reactions. So there are exceptions, of course.
Is it a matter of no time, no priority, no inspiration?
It's not no inspiration. It's one of the other two, and I believe no priority, and then no time. And on the other hand, I have this Dutch CEO, 6th generation, a young lady. When she became 6th generation, she was, I think, 31 when she became CEO of the company. The company is called Apollo. It's a Dutch company. And they're in logistics, in warehousing. She has a young family, a young daughter, and she's extremely active as a person. And the other day, last week, she signed a very big contract, a merger with another big company, Interroll, which is a very active and global company. So she made a video announcing in the how would you call it, cafeteria or the restaurant, company's restaurant, holding her child on her arms. So she's very active, and also she made, and I talked about this earlier, she made a big modification within the company, because normally you would associate color like blue with logistics, and it was that color for years and years and years. The company exists now for 187 years or so. She changed that to purple to give more female touch to the company. And the same goes for another CEO at DHL Consulting in Germany, in the Bonn region, Sabine Müller. She as well is very active on LinkedIn. So I see exceptions on the platform, but not a lot.
Yeah, I think that's maybe. In all honesty, like you, I know some CEOs that are embracing the whole, personal branding, being active, showing up, and all of that stuff. But all in all, it's a very, very, very small group that actually does that. I'm doing a training next week for a well-known organization in the bicycle world, and as a preparation, I asked how often do you post? Well, anybody in the management team has said I don't, or as good as. So it's just it for many, it's not a priority, and I think a lot of people look at their company page to create the content, and then maybe they just stick to reposting, or they look at their marketing department or their marketing person and to create the content for them, and possibly even post for them. But in all honesty, that's a tough one. So the big question there is: do you go with a ghostwriter in your in your environment, or do you invest that time as a CEO or as an executive in general in doing a post on a regular basis? What's your opinion about that?
Well, I first like to add one more example. It's
Okay.
a German CEO. He's called Tassin Dak. The company is called Papax, one of the partnerships of my client.
Hmm.
But I can understand why he's active, because he has a background within Red Bull. So
Right.
he and Red Bull is well massive on marketing, and he was one of the marketing guys at the time. So if you have a background in communication or
Mhm.
marketing, you do understand the strength of being active
Mhm.
with your personal brand. So he doesn't have a ghostwriter. He writes himself. He writes
Okay.
himself, and he responds himself, because when I send him a DM, because we have
Mhm.
met, spoken to each other, he responds immediately. There was a
Right.
conference in Amsterdam the other day, and
Mhm.
he responds the other immediately. So
Right.
I don't have a lot of experience with ghostwriters, Mick, other than
Mhm.
young people. So and then I sometimes lose the real strategic value they can add. And it has nothing to do with me being much older and perhaps being a bit more experienced.
Mhm. Mhm.
The content has, well, it's very light
Yeah.
content, what I see from ghostwriters.
Right.
And
Now,
on the other hand, you have the bigger companies with senior ghostwriters, of course.
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
different story.
no, I guess I mean I'm seeing a lot of executives really just waiting to get content from a ghostwriter rather than doing it themselves. I think in the real world, or in the most efficient world, I think it should be a combination of both. I mean, I think it is a good idea for consistency and continuity reasons to maybe have and work with a ghostwriter so that at least you've got a post every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. But I think it is very important for the person's profile and for the person themselves to actually be active, respond to the comments, and maybe once in a while do a post themselves out of, that they entirely wrote about something really personal that happened to them, or then they become more of a thought leader than just an amplification, a megaphone for the company, which I think in a number of companies that is the case.
Yeah, and if you search for ghostwriter in, for example, Sales Navigator, you get a big amount of people uh,
Mm.
with that title in their profile. So I think there are a lot of ghostwriters out there that
Mhm.
well, do a lot of content for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with a ghostwriter. Like I said, for me, it can provide, especially if it's in a company with where you have a marketeer that is dedicated to creating content for the management team. At least you have the consistency, you got the continuity going on. But I think it is really, I mean, it is the personal profile of the person. So they need to know what's going on with their profile. They need to go there once in a while. They need to comment. So it's kind of, you need buy-in, which then brings us back to time, which is how do you um, make sure that they build in the necessary time to comment, read, whatever actions that they want to do.
And that's exactly where it goes wrong in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
A ghostwriter can publish, but the person itself needs to reply or needs to interact.
Yep.
And interaction is not wonderful, congrats, thanks,
Mhm.
those kind of comments.
No, but the other thing is, in order to have successful posts, we all know that it requires these days good engagement from your network, and it also means somewhat of babysitting of the post. And I think that's one of the things that ghostwriters never do. I mean, they create maybe a fabulous post, but they're not the ones who can actually respond to the comments that are coming onto there. I mean, obviously, after a while, maybe you know some of the standard answers, but it requires executives to make that commitment of, yeah, I'm going to go and see what people are saying to me and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, how do you convince?
It's also why my projects make are a minimum of 6 months, and my longest customer was I worked with them for about 7 years.
Mhm,
The customer I work now with, this machine builder, is also for about 4 years
mhm.
in house. So I really get to know the people, but also their activity, their industry. I think if you really want to be, and I'm not their ghostwriter,
Mhm.
but I do support them with their company page, etc., and
Right.
profiles of all the staff, of all the personnel. You really get to know a company, and that's a different perspective than when you once write a few articles as a ghostwriter.
Agreed, but you know, I don't think as a ghostwriter you can actually write in. You know, you can't comment on things in the name of the person. I think that is a completely wrong approach.
So then the big question is, Mick, if they don't worry, why should we? I mean,
Explain.
we often discuss about CEOs not being active on the platform,
Agreed.
and well, they could benefit a lot
Mhm.
from
Yep.
being active
Yep.
as a role model,
Yes.
for example, because
Mhm.
it would help their employees to be more active as well.
Yep.
I once had a CEO that, well, 5 minutes after we should have started the training, walked in and said, "Sorry, I have a different appointment."
Mhm.
Well,
I
we had a heavy discussion afterwards because I
Mhm.
was not amused at all. Uh,
I imagine.
I mean, I took my time, so don't
Mhm.
waste my time by this kind of BS. But I think so many CEOs could lead by example and don't prioritize this as an activity on their agenda.
True, but would the solution be that if you are, I would say, working with an executive, whether it's a CEO or whether it's somebody from the board or upper management team, if you kind of like schedule, you know, once a week, maybe a half hour to go through the social media slash LinkedIn activities with that person, so that they start creating some kind of a habit of looking at it and maybe working together on on the comments or on the reactions that you want to voice. I think you have to, yeah, train. You have to take them by the hand. I think, and make them see that that 20 minutes, half hour meeting that you have with them actually delivers results in terms of visibility, in terms of reputation, in terms of leads or whatever.
Well, I did such project with a guy called Gerardo Martinez,
Mhm.
Mexican from origin, living in Amsterdam for about 20 years now. And he changed position. He became the executive board member for a company called Broadview Holding. And well, he came to me asking me if I could support him personally with his profile and changing his
Mhm.
profile and positioning himself and
Right.
making his profile ready for
Mhm.
publication after he already accepted the role, but after he officially
Mhm.
announced his change.
Right.
So
Right.
we do have well, examples of people
Mhm.
that seriously look at LinkedIn. And on his post, he had
Mhm.
about 200 comments, about
Mhm.
800 likes. So it did have an impact on his industry.
Right. But the thing is, we have and we know some good examples, but those good examples represent maybe under 1% of the actual total amount of people that should be doing this. So how do you convince these people?
Even less, Mick. I think even less than 1%.
Yeah, I was being nice. Because the sun is out, it's warm and all of that stuff. So I was being nice. But how do you convince, or how do you bring the return on investment to these people? Because they see a lot of the times, one, LinkedIn as it's the place to find a new job. That's still a label that sticks to LinkedIn more than Velcro does. Second of all is like, they qualifying what they do and measuring it somehow. That is the biggest challenge. I think that's the way that you can actually open their eyes with how you use LinkedIn. But the question is, how do you demonstrate ROI for an executive?
Well, it has been the case for years that lots and lots of executives, CEOs, management are too conservative in being saying it's marketing. They should do it. It's not my job. And the ones that do see the importance of being active on LinkedIn themselves, like the persons I've mentioned, like this Claudia, like this Sabine, Gerardo, they do see the true value, and it has to. Well, it does go slowly, Mick, but if they lead by example to other executives, well.
The thing I normally go with is when they say it's not my job, then I mean they are the figurehead of the company. They are the spokesperson for the company. I mean that's who everybody looks at. So it's their job to be visible. If that's on LinkedIn or anywhere else, that doesn't matter. But being visible, being the spokesperson for the company, and as you have indicated already in a large number of times today, being the example for the people within the company, I mean, that's where the return on investment is for me.
But it also has, let's be honest, the total population in the Netherlands, we all get older. I think 20% of the Dutch population is now over 65 or over 55. I don't have the exact numbers. And all of those people and basically lots of CEOs are in that age group, have been raised, more conservative than, let's say, my cousins who are in their 30s now. So I think the new generation might be different from the older generation in case of being active and visible themselves on LinkedIn. So perhaps it's also a matter of time, Mick, that once the new generation CEOs pop up, they will act differently than the former and older group of CEOs.
Right. Another important thing that comes up in discussions that I have with executives is they are somewhat afraid of the backlash, the negative comments, the call it the hate mail on companies, and dealing with them because it's the last thing they want is to come into being spoken about in a negative way. How do you suggest that is being handled?
Well, I worked for a very big international or multinational long time ago, and the thing I remember, and this was also the case of another CEO I met. Once you get higher in rank, the mutual, what once was friendship, so to speak, now becomes working with your elbows and not so nice and nasty activities. So in the corporate world, um, it's not always well from the outside it looks all glamour and
Mhm.
and nice and good, but from the
True.
inside, Mick, it's a different story in many cases.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think that the backlash thing is one of those elements that, yeah, people don't like, and especially, they're afraid to lose sight inside. As you say, they don't want to be challenged by their own people. They don't want to have the negative comments show up. So I think backlash is definitely one.
I'm not sure if that's the case. If they are afraid of negative comments, I haven't met many. Well, I haven't met any person, to be honest,
Mhm.
with that comment.
I actually have. I've met a few that are, yeah, they came into the news in a negative way, and then, it kind of rubbed onto the employees and all of that stuff. So it was, it,
Could that
yeah,
have something to do, Mick, also with culture? I'm not sure
yes,
if they were Belgian companies, but
yes, they were. Yes, they definitely were Belgian companies,
okay.
and
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 also when talk about, for example, Scandinavian or
Mhm.
and it's interesting. I've started to read the book The Culture Map
Okay.
from what's her name again, Erin Berger, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, and indeed, in different cultures, you have, of course, different behavior styles.
Right. True. True.
So
True.
it might be something to do with that as well.
Yeah. Now, if you were to give a company advice today about getting their executives that are not active on LinkedIn, but they all have a profile on LinkedIn, what are the two or three things you would advise the company to do?
The company or the CEO?
The CEO and the executives themselves, of course.
Well, I would ask them for once, what results are you getting from your activities on LinkedIn? Not personally, but the
Mhm.
company in whole. So company page, and probably the answer would be or will be no, not much.
Mhm.
But we have to. We same with the website.
Right.
We don't get a lot out of our website, but it's our business card,
Mhm.
and I'm talking a very black and white
Mhm.
traditional.
Right.
The other thing would be, well, it's our responsibility for marketing.
Mhm.
So, and then again and again, what results do you get?
Yep.
And if the same answer and probably the same answer will pop up, well, not a lot. We don't get a lot of results out of our LinkedIn activities.
Mhm.
So then my answer would be, well, if you've done what you've ever done, you get the same results. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it's time for a change. So
Yeah.
it's more of trying to open their eyes with very harsh and
Mhm.
respectful comments.
One of the things that I've seen over the last year, and I've worked with the organizations on that, is that I have seen a three-tier approach whereby, the CEO or the COO gets more ghostwriting and weekly support in terms of commenting, where the CXO level or the management level are actually somewhat helped with content, but not it's not written for them, so no ghostwriting as such, but support in ghostwrite or support with their posts, and they do all the work. And then at a third level, I'm seeing the ambassadors who do everything themselves. And all in all, I think that's a system that I've seen work at a couple of companies and I've implemented at a couple of companies that allows the different levels to be active without getting them too much out of their comfort zone. And yes, there are people who will embrace social media, um, you know, every time. And then there are those who think it's a necessary evil, basically, and but continue to do it because they realize that they're on a pedestal for their company.
Yeah, well, I've stopped convincing people to be more active on LinkedIn. I mean,
Oh no.
no, I mean it's their personal. How would you call it in English? Intrinsiek motivatie. Intrinsiek.
That's the internal motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So,
I have to. Yeah,
if you work with a company and they have some active employees, ambassadors, they would be a great start to work with.
Yeah.
So if it's not by CEO level or C level, then with ambassadors, and it's also the presentation that Ivana Brutunic made. I think it was 2 years ago at Uplift Live.
Yep.
Start with a small group of people.
Yeah, and however, if you start with a small group of ambassadors, you do need a management or somebody at the C level to join that team, because you need to show the support of the company for those people who are going to be your ambassadors initially.
No, true, but start small with active members of the company, and with that direction moving forward, hoping that CEOs or management directors will follow or see the positive results that they're getting.
I fully agree with that. All right, it's past 9:30, so we're at our closing time.
Absolutely, Mick.
And it was, again, interesting thoughts from you. It's always nice to hear a little bit different voices, because you're in a different situation than I am. I hope everybody who joined us live enjoyed the conversation. Thank you, Linear and Roy, for putting something in the comments. Anybody else, you can continue to put something in the comments. Guy, thank you for the interesting conversation today.
Yeah, we'll meet again next week in the Dutch version, and the week afterwards I will be in Portugal, Mick.
And I will probably be in Switzerland the week when you're there. So I think then we'll have a little break, and we'll be back with our regular episodes as of the let's say end of June time frame, and we'll be talking there. In the meantime, I'll be talking to Linear, and I'll be talking to Victor in 2 separate sessions, as you are on vacation and I'm not.
And probably I will tune in from the pool or wherever I am. So let's talk in with some other people and speak soon.
Right. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. For those people who are already on Friday night, like Linear and Roy, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you all soon. Have a great one.